Perfect. So I'm excited to have you here. I'm excited to talk about. You don't even need an introduction.
I'm here, brother.
Mr. Starr, do you like Fredro Fred? How what should I want to make sure I talk to you correctly.
Just Fredro, Fredro,
Fredro
that's
Dro. Okay, perfect. No, Mr. Starr.
I've never been I've never been a person to tell somebody to call me Star. You know, it's like,
It's like that's just like it sounds too cliche. You're in entertainment. It's just like
yeah, yeah, Fredro. A lot of people can't pronounce my name, like Spike Lee calls me Fredro, and Funkmaster Flex says my name Fredro, but it's Fredro, just to let
Oh,
everybody.
see, I'm real big on that. So, like, if I didn't ask Amy before this, I would have told you prior to even starting the recording, like, let me make sure the name is right. So,
It's actually I've never seen nobody with my name. It's a unique name, and some people have a little difficulty saying it, but for the most part, it's Fredro Starr.
nice. Well, before we get to talking about behind the grind, where did the name come from? It's so unique.
Uh, that name is like a neighborhood nickname that you get. One of the guys in the neighborhood just decided to call me Fredro. I guess Pedro, Fredro, and it just stuck with me since I was about 15 years old in Queens, and I just started using it as my rap name, and I put Star at the end of it. And I remember because I had a fake ID because I was going to clubs as 17-year-old. I was getting into the clubs in New York. I had a fake ID and it said Fredro Starr. So I had that name since 16, 17.
Nice, nice. Well, now we're about to get into behind the grind, right? I mean, you are a person that's lived this life. You've been in there from entertainment, from music to acting. So this type of project where you're actually going behind the scenes and talking about that grind before people get to that next level, because we see you after you've done the grind, and then we're like, oh my gosh, I want to be like you, but we
Right,
don't really understand what it took to get you on stage, on
right,
camera.
right,
So
right.
can you explain that process?
Well, behind the grind, it goes in depth of I wouldn't say people who are on a come up because Benzino and Peter Guns and Sticky, they've been in the game for a long time. So we want to get to know how did they get to that place. You know what I mean? These guys are considered legends. You know what I'm saying? So we want to find out how they got to that place. So behind the grind goes in deep. What is success? Because that's the most think success can be anything to anyone in a different way. Like you might think something is successful, and another person might think something else is successful. So we wanted to get behind the grind and find out what was their meaning behind success first.
Nice, I love that. Why is that so important, especially in this day and age of social media, instant gratification? I just feel like you all are actually helping create a narrative to make sure people understand. Though you may go viral, there still is a process. You can't skip certain steps, even if you do get that virality one day.
Right, right, right. And I was listening to actually Nas interview. He said, a lot of these kids want to, like you said, they want to go from 0 to 60, but it's the process that's the most important. The process of getting to that place is the place that you hold dear to you because that's the things that you remember. Those are the things like the hardship is the things that make you get to the place you're gonna go. And those are the things that you kind of cherish. Those are the things you think about. So yeah, it's been a long road, a lot of ups and downs in the industry. As with anybody in the music industry or acting or anything in entertainment, there's always ups and downs in this thing. There's never a smooth ride. There's always going to be bumps in the road.
Nice. I love that, especially because people need to understand. I tell people that even with the magazine, I said, look, sometimes I had issues where I'm like, it's gonna do it. You're looking at sales like, oh, it didn't do it.
Right.
But it helps
Because
you, it helps
because
you pivot.
sometimes you know what, when you look at sales, you can kind of discourage yourself. So what I've learned to do is have low expectations. Like if I have low expectations about something and it goes past my expectations, then I'm more than thrilled.
Yeah.
But if you set your expectations like, yo, I'm gonna put this album out and it's gonna go platinum, and it doesn't go platinum, you can kind of get discouraged and you might not want to do it as much, or you might fall back. But if you keep low expectations and you pass that, it keeps you going, keeps you going.
Nice. I love that. Did you have to learn that from yourself, like where you thought maybe an album, a EP was gonna just knock, and then you're just like, oh,
I, I had to learn from experience. I had to learn from experience, and then this older guy, this older gentleman in the industry gave me that jewel. He said, "Yo, have low expectations, so when you surpass them, you feel way more accomplished." And I always put that in my back pocket, and that's my jewel for today.
nice. I love that. That's we could even end the conversation right now because that got me thinking. I got something coming out. Like, let me make sure.
Yeah.
But this is also your first time hosting, right? Like, this is your first time hosting.
Well, it's my first time hosting a talk show. Yes, I've hosted like a dance show called Dance 360 with Kel Mitchell.
Mhm.
Um, but that was more like a dance battle hosting. But this is more like on Arsenio Hall, Montel Williams type of hosting. And yeah, this is my first time. But
This is
I've
next
always
for you.
I've always had that thing where I've always was able to talk to different people from different genres.
Mhm.
Before I got into hip hop, I was a barber. And I was a barber as a teenager, 15, 16, 17. And that kind of grew me to talk to different people that would come in my chair. Like I
Mhm.
would have a gangster come in my chair, a drug dealer. I would have lawyers come in my chair, rappers, doctors. So I would have to, to get that tip, you got to know how to talk to them and make them feel cool and make them feel good. And so when they left my chair, everybody was smiling. So I was able to talk to different people on all different levels. So that kind of gave me the blueprint of how to navigate in the industry. I can be on a train or on a plane talking to a guy who's a doctor, and we can have a conversation for hours. And I can talk to somebody who never even finished high school, some dude from the street, and we can talk. So, I feel like I can talk to anybody.
Nice. I love that. I will have to say that's totally off topic right now. When you just said about the barber shop and the hip
Yeah.
hop and everything, you just took me back to Moesha. So I was just like, I was like, your character, you just described your character there. And I was just like, did they have to write or did he just come in and just say, hey, look, I'm going to give you my life?
Speaking of we should pray for Brandy. Her she just
Yeah.
had a seizure, so let's pray for Brandy. But yeah, man, Moesha was cool because when I first got there, the writers, one particular writer, Mara Brock, she was like, "Yo, we want to know everything that you say so we can write it in the script so it fits you." So I was letting them know everything. I let them know about the barbershop. I let them know about all the slangs and what's up, shorty, and what's up, son. They put all of that into the character. And when you mentioned the barbershop, there was the scene in Moesha where we had a barbershop and my father was on the show. And that was supposed to be a spinoff. We were talking about doing a spinoff of Q's character, and Q would work in a barbershop. He wanted to be a rapper. He had aspirations to be a rapper, and it never happened. But that was kind of like the setup to do the spinoff. That's why you saw the barbershop on Moesha.
Oh, nice. And I would love to touch on like these things when it comes to projects because when we talk about behind the grind in this industry, you hear so many stories of I think I was seeing something with Kevin Hart said he before like he really got big, his agent was sending him, he had like always like it was like 20 projects and nothing hit.
Right.
That comes with this industry, right? Like where
Yes.
record
Yes.
deals, songs, you're writing with people. Can you like, let the audience know viewers, I mean, not audience, I'm not on the stage like that, but viewers know how this goes in this game, because they don't know, like,
They
you
just see the product. You just see people just see the movies. They just see what's on television. That's called the finished product. Before that, there's a lot of rehearsals. First of all, you got to get the job. To get booked to do a job, you most likely will have to go through a lot of different people because everybody's trying to get that job in Hollywood. So, when I did Sunset Park, I'm talking about the line for that character was around the block.
know,
When I did Save the Last Dance, the line for that character was around the block. So you always got to do your best because somebody else is trying to get that job. And there's a lot of competition out there, but you gotta say, yo, this is mine. I want it. I'm gonna get it, and you go for it. You know what I mean? If you have that drive and you have that confidence, most of the times it will work for you. But if it doesn't, you can't let it defeat you. There's a lot of no's in Hollywood. So put it like this: if I audition for a movie Nine times out of 10, I probably won't get it. But that one time, you're gonna get it. So you just gotta keep going. You just gotta keep going. Even the biggest movie stars have to audition and have to fight to get the part because there's always that person looking just like you who can fit the character who wants the job just as bad as you do.
Nice. That's so true. How have you sustained yourself in this tough competitive industry? And you've been able to not just play different movies and different roles, but expand yourself, because a lot of times some people get pigeonholed into a certain network, and then a certain type of like, genre, but you've been able to kind of like, spread yourself.
Um, I think the main reason is sticking to the first way I got into the industry, and that was being a rapper. I've never let that go. Like I've always like right now I'm still in my rap bag. I'm always thinking about rhymes and I actually got a battle coming up on URL um with Smack, but I've always kept the hip hop and always kept the rapper part of me 100%. So, if I'm not doing a movie, then I can go in the studio, go on tour. A lot of actors in Hollywood, they don't have that career. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of actors, if they don't get the part, then they don't have no other jobs.
Yeah.
Luckily, I was in a group called Onyx and we made a song called Slam, and the song went 10 times platinum, and I'm still getting paid to this day from that song, touring. I'm talking about licensing, publishing. That's how I've been able to stay alive in this game for so long, 30 years. The publishing of Slam alone, I could just go to my mailbox. I don't even have to work.
Wow.
Tell you
That's
the
so
truth.
important.
That
How
that song that song Slam is a generational song that's still getting
yeah.
video games, movies, in the NBA adopted Slam, even Major League Baseball adopted Slam. It's in all the video games, all the so Slam is paying the bills.
Nice. I love that, especially because it shows how having ownership in your intellectual property and your creativity, right? And I would
Right,
love to talk about that because that's a part of behind the grind, especially in the entertainment industry, especially hip hop, R&B,
right.
for black singers, songwriters. How if someone's listening and they're like, I'm an aspiring writer or singer or producer or engineer, how can they make sure that they can be on, if that song hits, you never know what's going to hit and what doesn't, but if
Right.
I'm writing something or if I'm producing something, how do I protect myself to know that once it hits I'm going to be able to get them type of checks?
Well, you definitely got to protect yourself. You should always, first of all, if you wrote a song, it's yours. That means you have to copyright it. Because somebody can take your song and make it bigger than you. Somebody can cover your song and make it bigger than you, but if you own the rights to your song, it's always yours. And that song is gonna be here forever. Like my kids, I look at my kids and I just smile because I know that all the work I've done, the movies, the television, it's the royalties never stop coming. So they are gonna bear the fruits of my labor. You know what I'm saying? So one thing about doing movies and television, there's royalties involved. And once you get into your royalties, if you sign the right contracts and you have the right deals, you can live off your royalties forever. And your family can too. Because movies are forever. They're not going nowhere. They're always going to be there. Songs are not going nowhere. It's always going to be there. It's actually collateral. Because right now, they're even putting songs on the stock market. You can even put your catalogs up for sale, and now investors are getting into buying publishing because they know publishing will always go up. It will never go down like a stock.
Yeah. Nice. It's interesting when you being from New York, you being like New York rappers, New York, whenever you guys all have such a business mindset, and I'm from LA and not saying people don't, but it's just like something about New Yorkers, New York rappers, it's like y'all think about the money too. A lot of other people think about like, the numbers, the fame, I want to get there, but for some reason, why is that? Why do New Yorkers, it's like, look, I know I have art, it's something.
I don't know because I think LA rappers, I think they are the business guys, the Snoops. Look at Ice Cube. Look at Dr. Dre. These guys are big and these guys are from LA. So when you say New York, I'm thinking LA because LA to me, I think LA has the biggest moguls in hip hop.
No, yeah, Yeah, we have the moguls, but when I'm talking about like, when you talk about like individual artists on all the
Yeah,
different levels, it's something that talks differently. You guys have a different like,
New York. About New York. New York is the home of the hustlers. Everybody is on the go. Everybody is moving fast. So
yeah,
when you're from New York, your mind state is to always get money because you as soon as you walk out your house, everything is moving. The
yeah.
city never sleeps. So if you sleep, you're missing out because
Oh,
the city never sleeps. So you can't sleep. There's no rest in New York City. So I think a lot of the guys, we come from, especially the guys from the '90s era. We came from seeing young guys 16 17 years old in the '80s driving Porsches and BMWs because when you're my age, you came through the crack era. You seen at a young age guys were getting money at a young age. It's not really like that now because it's just not. But when we were coming up, man, you got guys 17 18 years old driving BMs, Porsches, BMW, and you looked up to these guys like, wow, these guys are getting it because they were selling drugs. But then hip hop came, and that was another way to get the BMs, another way to get the Porsches. Hip hop saved the community because hip hop gave jobs to a lot of people. A lot of DJs, rappers, managers, club promoters. A lot of people ate off of hip hop. It was when we came up, it was something to do.
yeah.
You didn't have to sell drugs. So you got the guys selling drugs, and then you got the guys doing the hip hop. And we found out, wait, you can do hip hop and make money and not worry about police chasing you. So a lot of the guys in hip hop, that's what they wanted the money.
Mm-hmm.
They
No,
saw the money, saw the riches. They saw the LLs, Cool J's with the big chains, the EPMDs, the Rakims with the big chains. That's what we wanted. We wanted to be like that. And if those guys were rapping doing that, okay, this is the way to go.
nice. No, I love that. And see, that's exactly what I was trying to get to because that mindset, that New York mindset, when you hear that talk, it's something. But then there's a rawness too, and I always like to look at hip hop in our culture and look at it from like, regional spaces, right? Because it's
Right.
different Bay Area, LA, New York. But with New York, especially when you guys do y'all like ciphers and your battles, there's just this thing. You guys always take me back to Juice. I always tell people when it comes to New York rappers, y'all always make me think of Juice. That the battle scene with
And that's one of my favorite movies, man. Rest in peace to Tupac. Juice. Yeah, like that is New York. When you watch Juice, it's taking you right to New York. You could be, like you said, you could be in LA, watch that, and you feel like you're right there. Because it's showing you how we move in LA. I mean in New York. In New York, I'm telling you, it's 5 boroughs, and every borough is
yeah,
different. Manhattan is different from Queens, Queens different from the Bronx, Bronx different from Brooklyn. Everybody got their own kind of swag,
yeah,
their own kind of style. And you can kind of see that. If I see a guy walking, I could be like, yeah, he from Brooklyn. He just got that Brooklyn vibe,
yeah.
and he'll be from Brooklyn. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Nice. I love that. Going back to when we talked about the legal parts of the business, right? How do you have different lawyers? Because I remember seeing an interview one time of like when Chingy talked about his time with Ludacris and when he had the wrong lawyer and he gave him the wrong advice and he told him not to do this and he should be doing that and then mess up
I,
everything.
I'm a, I'm a, I'm gonna keep it real. I fired all my lawyers.
You fired
I
him?
look, I look at contracts I signed when I was 19 years old, and I say to myself, how could a lawyer let me sign something like this?
Mm-hmm.
So I think lawyers are overrated. I think lawyers get paid a lot of money to do bullshit.
Yeah.
When you've been in the game this long, you can kind of like look at your own contracts now because, like I said, I've been in this game over 30 years. But with lawyers, to me, I think it's just all it's just typically it's just bullshit to me. I think, of course, lawyers are there to protect you, and of course, they go to school and they've been through the process and they know. But you have to have common sense for yourself because you can look at a contract, and a lawyer can look at a contract, and you can be like, "What about this?" And then he'll go, so you don't want it? No, I don't want it like that. But so you have to like look over your lawyer. You have to be the lawyer to your lawyer. So I don't. I fired all my lawyers. I look at my own contracts, and that's what I'm doing.
Nice. What are your top, like your first three things you're looking at when it comes to your contract to make sure that it's equitable for you? That you're like, no, this is serving
The
my
first thing I'm looking for in a contract is the numbers. I, there's a lot of words, a lot of there's a lot of alphabets. Where are the numbers at? I'm looking for the numbers. First thing. Second thing I'm looking for is you have to when you look at a contract, you have to look at the fine print because the fine print is where you lose. So
Mhm.
I'm looking for the things that can be detrimental to you. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So you have to you really look at your contract and go over it. I have a my mom's she worked at a law firm for over 30 years. So me and my mother, we go through the contracts when we get them. She's kind of like a lawyer because she had to look at the lawyer's contracts. So I have a team in place. My mother and myself, we look at the contracts. But I like me when I look at the contract, I'm looking for the numbers.
Thank you. Nice. And
How long, how much, that's what I'm looking for.
what's one of your deal breakers? And I ask these questions because I want people who are going to view this, who read the article, who see all of this and go, okay, you know what? Let me make sure if like because whenever somebody tells you that deal breaker, you're like, man, maybe I should get that too.
Well, I don't like to break any deals. If there's a contract on the table, I would like to get it done because most likely if there's a contract and there's gold at the end of the rainbow. But percentages and ownership is something that, I really like to look at the most because like I said, numbers, the upfront is good, but you want to make sure you keep yours in the end as well. So I always try to look at the ownership because that's in the long run, that's what's going to keep you alive in the long run, 10 years, 20 years from now, the ownership, not the upfront.
Nice. I love that. I want to be conscious of your time. So I just have two more questions. And I'm loving all of this because it's just, it's like you're taking us to school of hip hop right now
I
and
mean,
business.
it is a school of hip hop. Hip hop is a school. And a lot of people fail in the school of hip hop, man. So, you know, a
Nice. No, I love that. Look, that we can go to church with that one. We can go further.
lot,
Piss
lot of
people
F's, a lot of F's on their report cards, man.
off. We're first question, hip hop today. Where do you see it at now? And not from a place of like bad or good, but just really seeing the evolution and your take on, male rappers, female rappers, just the music, the sound.
Um, well, hip hop right now is the biggest in music. It's bigger than country, bigger than rock. Hip hop rules the charts.
Mm-hmm.
Hip hop is a culture. People got to understand that it's just not making music; it's a culture. And with that culture, you have different subcultures. You have pop. You got electric. You got reggae, hip hop. You got Spanish hip hop, reggaeton. It's so many genres of hip hop. It's crazy. I mean, even you go to the Billboard Awards and you see these award shows and you be like, oh, this guy won hip hop for best rap album, and the album's not even rap. So it's a lot of genres of hip hop. Hip hop will be here forever, and I think today, pardon me, I think hip hop today is in a good place because I think it's coming back to the way I loved hip hop. I think hip hop, the message of hip hop kind of went away for a minute. You know what I mean? It was more of a vibe, more of a cadence, more of a melody. It wasn't too much about the words. I think the majority of hip hop was more of a vibe. But I think right now, hip hop is coming back to the words. What are people saying? Yo, check out this verse. Check out this verse. I think it's coming back to real hip hop music. And and that's cool because that's why I fell in love with hip hop. I fell in love with hip hop because I was listening to what Rakim was saying, the
Yeah.
words he was saying. You know what I'm saying? The words LL was saying, Public Enemy, guys like that, Slick Rick delivering stories. It's coming back to that. That's the reason I fell in love with hip hop because I got messages from hip hop. I learned from hip hop. It was my teacher. I got so many jewels and wisdom from hip hop. And I think the last 20 years, I think the message of hip hop, it kind of went away to more of just the vibe of hip hop. Let's not really listen to the words. Let's listen to how he's saying the words.
Yeah.
And I think it's coming back. And I love that.
Nice. I do have to add a question in there because I think it's talking to you will be good. And I'm always here for female rappers. I just love it because I tell them you have these 21-year-old female rappers and they're saying these things. I told a lot of people like they have a way of artistry with it because there's not that much life experience, but they're good. Their bars, their delivery, right?
Yeah.
And someone was like, Mike, you love them because you like that's why you like a lotto because that swag. I'm like, it's just the way that it's coming out. why do you think now is just so many more female rappers and it's just and they're taking it to the next level with their verses, their everything. They don't care what they're saying, they're giving it to you. Why is it now that it's just like we see the explosion?
Yeah, I think right now there is an explosion of female rappers, but there was an explosion of female rappers when we were coming up too, and it kind of like stopped for a minute. It just got male dominated, and now like you said, the Lottos, the the Cardi B's are taking over, the Nicki Minaj's, but I've come from the era of rap where the females were spitting bars, man. I'm talking about
MC
MC
Light, Lady of Rage.
Lady of Rage, my favorite rapper, my favorite female MC rapper. I was just saying that the other day, like Lady of Rage to me, top five female rapper, and she doesn't get the props like she deserves. But man, she's dope. She's dope. But I just think because women are powerful right now. You
Mm-hmm.
know, women have the power, so they're using their power. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? They're on top of their game right now, and a lot of times female rappers are using their bodies and their sexuality, and we want to see that. The world wants to see that. With the internet and what's going on, and social media. That's a big part of it. Sex sells, and a lot of female rappers are using their sexuality to sell. But it's the female rappers who don't use their sexuality. Those are the ones that I like
yeah,
most times because they can't lean on how fine they look. They have to lean on how dope they sound.
yeah.
So they put that into the pen. And
Mhm.
that's what I came up on. I came on female rappers, who use the pen. I mean, of course, you had the little Kims, the Foxy Browns who use their sexuality, but I'm talking about the Lauryn Hills, the
Yeah,
MC Light, the Lady of Rages,
yeah,
the Remy Ma's. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Those are the rappers that I like. Fredro Starr, though I like lyrics, so I'm all for it.
Nice. No, I love that because there is a, I don't know, I don't know if you know Malibu Mitch from New York. She
Yeah,
has,
yeah.
yeah, she has that real good New York flow. And even
My
like,
my my boy Josh, I think he manages her. But
oh,
yeah, I got an album called Jazz coming out, and this is female from LA, and her name is Marin Bags. She's on my album. She spits lyrics. She's dope. So check out for Marin Bags when my album come out. It's called Jazz. Should be dropping in November. Yeah, man. So we're behind the grind. As soon as Behind the Grind comes out, October 29th, I'm dropping the album a week after that.
thank you.
For
Perfect. And we
Jazz.
definitely love to
Jazz.
follow up with that. And we'll even reach out to the lady on the album with you and say, gave you a plug in.
Marin Bags. She's on the album. She's dope. She reminds me of a little Kim, Foxy Brown. She got that, and she's from LA though,
Yeah.
but
Oh
she
wow.
sounds like she's from Brooklyn. It's crazy. It's crazy. So I had to get her on my record. But yeah, I love female rappers in hip hop. Always have, always supported them. And yeah, man.
Thank you. Well, look, I've had enough of your time today, and I mean it in a positive way because I know you're a busy man, so I want to be conscious of that again. And so, last, what do you like? What impact do you want to leave on this world before you leave?
I just want to leave a powerful impact of hip hop. I want people to say that guy right there represented hip hop to the fullest. I am hip hop. Like KRS once said, I am hip hop. I am hip hop. So that's just all. I just want to leave hip hop to the world.